The hat. it's, it's Kim's. Mrs. Sands in the surf. Well, you know, because people be like, "Did you ever wear your wife's hat?" They'd be like, "You ever play that game? Never have I ever." I never did either. Because when we were little, I guess it was called Truth or Dare, right? You dare somebody like. You'd be like, truth or dare, and they'd be like, truth. And you'd be like, all right, I'm going to ask you this question now, and you have to tell me the truth. And for whatever reason, you had to, because that was the rules, right? Well, never have I ever is like the same thing, I guess. But you say, hey, have you ever done this? And then the person, I think everybody has done it, has to raise their hand or whatever. I don't know how to play it. Look it up on Google. But anyway, never have I ever worn this hat before in a video. And this video is about, I'm going to say at least 3 things that happened in this last week going fishing. That never happened to me before. Never have I ever had these 3 things happen to me. So that's it. Just never have I ever. And they're kind of interesting. So come on, let's go and watch the video and catch some fish. November here on Oak Island. Let's go. All right, we got the crew here. Say hi, guys. For our first round of Never Have I Ever, we're going to look at a bait cannon. It's a bait cannon, and this right here is a cylinder to make for the bullet, if you will. It is a piece of frozen bait with the hook, the rig, all in there. Looks like a little ice torpedo, and it goes inside this bait cannon, and then the bait cannon gets pumped up with a little CO2. And that's what that canister is right there. And once the air is inside it, you just slide around the other side. You check the pressure. There's a little pressure gauge on it. And you can see the pressure gauge to see how much. I guess it's about up to 80. And I guess that's enough to give it a whirl. So you just pull this trigger and ready, fire! 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 Oh, there it goes. Well, you can't really see, but it went pretty far. Let me show you a couple more. Look, I just pointed to show you how far it went. Here you go again. If you didn't see it in action the first time, here it is again. Now, you open up the bail on the fishing reel, which makes sense, right? And that obviously that bullet is connected to the rig and the ice bullet. And then when the ice bullet hits the water, it melts from the salt water, and then you have your bait out there really far. And it's for me, I do it the old-fashioned way. So here I am, man versus machine. Here's my cast. I can get it out there pretty far. I guess the advantage of the bait cannon is you don't have to wade out to your waist. Here, watch me again. I'm gonna watch how elegantly I can cast. Look at that movement right there. It's like ballet. So it's man versus machine, and the man won. Look, I got a bluefish on mine. So did he catch anything on the bait cannon? No. All right, next day. We went down to Sheep Island. The dog really just wanted to play ball with Mrs. Sands in the surf there, and she just wanted to relax. And I just wanted to catch some puffer. It was a really windy day. Look at the sailboats going by. Here's one. Here's another. They all had their sails up as they're going down the ICW because it was a really windy day, and so I didn't want to get out on the ocean. It would have been nice to go out and try to catch a king mackerel, but instead I was like, okay, fine. We'll go to Sheep Island. I know I can get some puffer out there. I'll just bring some shrimp, double drop rig, and just see what I can do out here. So this wasn't seeming to me like it was going to never have I ever event, right? No, I have caught puffer before. Matter of fact, the last video I caught puffer, and I showed you how to clean them. So if you haven't, check out that video right there. I'll put a link above. But I hadn't even had my camera on. Look, I'm scrambling to get the camera on, and I already had a first fish on the rig there on the little piece of shrimp. So I'm not even ready. Plug it in. So there we go. Now we can start the video. So I reel them in, and I got my first puffer, and I'm like, wow, perfect. This is exactly what I wanted. Nothing fancy today. Just going out there with a 1/0 hook with a float rig. I made that rig, and I'm going to put them in the live well just in case I don't catch any more, right? But no problem, because as soon as I dropped another piece of shrimp in the water, we pulled up another puffer. Yay. So now we got 2. I'll put him in the live well. We'll have a little collection. Now, if you ever wonder why they're called puffer, it's because they do this. Puff, 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 puff. Look at them all puffed up right there. They're a big old fatty. Get a close-up. There you go. Extreme close-up. Anyway, into the live well for him. And this went on it was like one after the other. So if you're looking to get some puffer, go down the west end, the point, on the ICW side. If you don't have a boat, you can't get out to the island there, and you can just throw some shrimp out there into the ICW, and you're going to probably be able to pull up some puffer too. So that's 3 right there, and the sailboat's still coming by. Oh, this one's not under wind. It's under motor power, but that's all right because it was still windy, and that's why they're sailboats. And then I caught this nice pinfish. This was a big pinfish, but they call them pinfish for a reason. You see those little pointy scales up on top. I've probably shown this before, and you think I would learn, but there you go. So that's not a never have I ever. That's a pretty common mistake for me, getting hit by a pinfish and getting poked, and I gotta let it bleed out to clean it out there. Now, all I can say about puffer is if you're looking for a really exciting event where you've got a big fight on your hand, there's scream and drag, puffer's probably not the fish for you, okay? But if you're looking for a fish that, they're fun to catch, right? Because you can catch them pretty quick and fill up the bucket pretty quick. At least I was that day. They're fun to catch and they taste great. I mean, people are like, oh, they're poisonous, from watching my other videos. They're not poisonous. The Japanese version is poisonous, but these guys are just northern puffer filling up that bucket. Now, we were high and dry. And again, this is not a never have I ever. I've been high and dry plenty of times. So I thought maybe I'll just take a break here and try to clam up a little bit in the sand over there at the end of the island. See if I can find some clams. And we got a couple, but not a whole bunch over there in the sand. Probably got to get in the mud to find the really good ones. But there were some there. Head back to the boat. And here's where the never have I ever comes into play. I did a sheepshead video not too long ago. I'll put a link above. And in that video, I did not catch a sheepshead. I did not catch one, even though I tried my hardest. And I actually thought this was a black drum. Did you see right there? I turned around and said, this is a black drum. And then I realized it's not a black drum. It was a sheepshead. A sheepshead, I say. Just on shrimp trying to catch those puffer. And I was so excited. I didn't even know what to do with it. So never ever caught a sheepshead. I have caught one before, but this was the first time I've caught one that was actually legal to keep. This was probably about 13-inch. Good morning. It's morning. It's not good morning. It's morning. I'll give you that. It's morning. We are going to the point. We're going to do some fishing at the point. The plan today, it's Saturday, was to get out on the boat. It was supposed to be 70. It's not even 61 right now. My little car computer is telling me 61 outside. So that's not really 70. It's overcast. It's a little bit drizzly. Not really great boat weather. So scrap that. So here we are at the point, and they've changed things around a lot since I've been down there last time. It's like a new entrance in the parking lot. It's different, but the people were the same because they were lined up all the way on the left side. There were people, doesn't look like that many there, but they were lined up. So I just said, I'm gonna go down on the right here and just find a little spot and figure out my never have I ever. Well, here's what happened. I just brought down my double drop rig and watch the white rod. Watch this thing bend. Look. It's starting to go. It's starting to go. It's starting to go. It wasn't like a tug thing. It was just like bending. And I'm like, what's going on? I'm like, never ever had this happen to me before. And I started reeling it in. Watch here. I'll show it to you from this angle too. Look at the rod in the background. Can you see it starting to bend there? Right above the fish. And I'm trying to get this fish off the hook, and I'm like, oh man, look at this thing bend. So I was like, oh, what do I got here? Now again, this was a tiny little double drop rig. I was just trying to, throw a little bait out there to catch small stuff. 1/0 hook. This is a 1/0 hook. This is the same thing I was just using for those puffer, and I got into this fish and I knew right away exactly what it was. And look, we're in a stalemate already. He would run and take drag, and then I try to reel him in and he would just lay down, and I was like, oh man, this is nothing but a stingray. I know it's a stingray, but it's a really, really, really big stingray. And never have I ever caught a really, really, really big stingray on a 1/0 hook. Now, at the rec center, when I teach a surf fishing class in the summer, I always tell everyone who comes out that you can catch really big fish on small hooks. And this is an obvious version of that. But you can't catch little fish on big hooks. So it's always better to have, I feel like it's better to have small hooks. But I cannot believe I have this. Watch me walk him down the beach. I'm standing there trying to get this huge stingray up on this one little 1/0 hook on this double drop rig I made. And I'm down the beach now. I am all the way down the beach right there trying to walk him up on, and he just laid down. He laid down and he was like, I'm going to stand still. I can't get him up. He's not going to come in. I can't get him up. I'm just going to try and pull him up. I was trying to work him with the waves. I could see him. He was really big, but eventually just boom right there. It let go. And it didn't let go. It actually broke the hook. So this is a 1/0 hook. Gone, my friend. That 1/0 hook. Let me show you right here. Just bring it up and show you what he did to it. And not surprising, I would have thought it would have gone quicker, to be honest with you. Oh, the last thing I was going to mention was shout out to my man in the food. Well, he's in Publix. So Miss Kim's in the Publix grocery shopping, and she sees this kid staring up at her, and then she looks at him, and he says, "Excuse me, are you Mrs. Sands in the Surf?" She was like, "As a matter of fact, I am." So shout out, you know who you are. I got to do more videos with Miss Kim. I guess she's better looking than me, right? Got to do more Miss Kim videos. Less Sands in the Surf, more Mrs. Sands in the Surf. Maybe I'll make a video, Mrs. Sands in the Surf. That'd be hot. I'm gonna do that. That's next on the agenda. And the very next day, Kim and I, Mrs. Sands in the Surf, went to Publix again, and this time Ethan was there again, this time with his mom. And we were like, "You guys want to go fishing? We're going to go fishing tomorrow." So that video right there was Saturday, and this is Sunday. Back to the point, we decided to go back to the same place, and until Ethan shows up, I'm going to try my Mrs. Sands, and this will be the preview to see if it works, the Mrs. Sands in the Surf video. So this is the preview for the upcoming Mrs. Sands in the Surf video. Plenty of bait running down there. Had to walk out and get it. Actually, I had a little cold today. So I got all wet. I was wet for like 5 hours yesterday, and I think that did not do well for my health. But Mrs. Sands in the Surf here, reeling in our first of many bluefish. If you want to get a bluefish, I don't know how long they'll stick around for, but I can tell you on Sunday and Saturday, I was doing fairly well. But on Sunday, we were doing fantastic with the bluefish. Just getting that live finger mullet. This was really all the same thing, the double drop rigs. That's all I'm doing, the one on hook again. Just putting them in one, put them in the tail like I showed you a second ago. And we were just getting bluefish. They would just come by, you get a whole mess of them, and then it would dry up for a few minutes, and all of a sudden another batch would come by, and we'd have them. And I got myself one too. Now here comes Ethan. And then Ethan is going to become my automatic fishing reel in about a minute here. I'll show you how that works. But this is my big bluefish. It's not ginormous. Don't get too excited. But it was big. Most of them were catching about 12 to 14 inches. And this is probably around 16, 17, something like that. Maybe 16. But nice one. I'm going to take him home and put him in the smoker before this day is over and make some smoked fish dip out of that. I'm gonna keep a couple of them. You can keep 3 right now, right? So I'll usually keep a big one, and then we catch some small ones, throw them back until I get some decent ones. And once you get down to 2 in the bucket, then it's like I just hold out for the third big one if I'm going to keep that many. So here's what I was doing. I put the bait on the hook, and as soon as it started to bend over, I'm like, "Ethan, the pink rod, get the pink rod." And he'd run over, and he'd reel it in, and he was pulling himself up bluefish after bluefish too. So pretty soon I realized my job here was just to put the bait on the hook, and Ethan take care of the rest. It works for me. Way to fill up a bucket. Like I'm telling you, it's like having an automatic fishing reel, like one of those electronic ones. So just back to the logistics of it. Like I said, I'm just using double drop rig, 1/0 hooks, and the live, the drop the cast net and get some of those live finger mullets. I'm really using the smaller ones, a couple of bigger ones here, but just for a 1/0 hook, I just kind of using the smaller ones. And then the tide was rising. The tide was high tide was I think 12:30. Kim and I started about 10:30. So we went to about 12. I think we stayed till just a little bit after 12:30. So all these fish were caught on the rising tide in that 2-hour period right there. And I had 3 rods out. The little pink rod that Ethan's on right now, the white rod that I got the stingray on yesterday, and then my big rod, I just have a big 5/0 hook on that, and I was just putting big pieces of frozen mullet thinking maybe I'll catch something big, but the only thing I caught was that one bluefish on that rod, but all the other ones are caught between these 2 rods. Here comes Ethan's little sister to help out. She's going to help. He's going to show off his fish right here. Check this out. And not only were we catching, it wasn't just bluefish, there were other fish too. First of all, this one coming up right here is actually a flounder. I didn't have a good video of it, so you can just see me kind of, I thought I turned the camera on, I didn't. So you can see me standing there with my flounder as Kim's reeling in the next bluefish. But that's not the next Never Have I Ever, although Never Have I Ever caught a flounder during flounder season. It's not my forte. Flounder is definitely not mine. But this one coming up here was a Never Have I Ever, and Ethan's going to reel it in right now. And if you've never seen a stargazer, I had never caught a stargazer and only knew what they were. And I'm like, "Whoa, hold on. Don't touch this." I'm like, "Kim, don't touch the fish." She's like, "I wasn't going to touch the fish." I'm like, "Oh, yeah, that's right." That's kind of my job. But yeah, it's a stargazer, and they're poisonous, venomous. I guess you're not going to eat. I'm not going to eat them. I guess they're venomous. They've got little on the back spikes on the back of their head here, and I want to show them to you. There he goes, right there. So maybe even Google it if you've never. It looks like a big oyster cracker, but not as ugly, not as slimy looking. And I was just like, I'm going to get my pliers and get the hook out of his mouth and then drag him back into the water. I've heard they can electrocute you too. I don't know. Look it up. Google it. But if you ever catch one, please do not pick one of those up with your hands. Here's my delicate release. Just kind of pushing him in with the plier. So here's our bounty for the day. Get out there, go fishing. Maybe you got some never have I ever. Leave a comment, tell me about it. All right.